On this table are brands that together make more than 1600 crores in revenue every year. All of them are category disrupting brands that have transformed the Indian packaged food market. And if you've been curious about how to build a food brand from scratch in India, then this is the video for you. And if you're new to the channel, then hello, you've landed at GrowthX. We are an invite-only community of over 3,000 members who are product, marketing, business leaders, and also founders from the startup ecosystem. We teach our members how to scale revenues, and we make videos like these breaking down frameworks and insights that have worked for the best of the best businesses in the country. And to do this, we've spent hundreds of hours researching and speaking to the top founders and operators to make this video the ultimate playbook for how to build mega food brands in India. So today, we'll share the 7 key insights on how you can nail core user insight like Sleepy Owl to start building a product, solve supply chain like Tokai, build an offline first strategy like YogaBar, crack B2B as a channel like Veeba, and so much more. So let's dive into the first step of nailing core user insights with Sleepy Owl's founder Arman Sood, and feel free to jump to the timestamp that you are curious about.
We started as a company that was doing only cold brew, right? And we were telling consumers that, listen, this is a freshly brewed cup of coffee. This is made with premium Arabica beans. This is convenient and easy to use, and upgrade to this. Not only upgrade from Nescafe and brew, we also would say upgrade from instant coffee, right? And we, at that point in time, to some extent made instant coffee the villain, right? Like, this is not good, this is good, right? But over the years, we realized that, and this happened through lots of user interviews, that even our core consumer, like Sleepy Owl's core cold brew consumer, almost all households have instant coffee in their pantry.
Yes.
Right? And we got into the why. Why do they have it? What do they have it? When do they use it? What do they use it for? And we realized that this is a segment and a space that we can get into from a business sense, and there may be scope to do a better instant coffee, right? And research led us to say, okay, we're doing 100% Arabica instant coffee because both the large players are working with inferior beans, or, you know, it's been the same forever. How about we say, okay, 100% Arabica, freeze-dried coffee, and then give it like, you know, some fantastic flavors and flavorize it and premiumize it, and, you know, make it a better overall experience. And, you know, we've seen fair bit of success even in that product range, right? As founders, we were very nervous about getting into instant coffee because we said, okay, we don't drink it on a daily basis. I don't have instant coffee every day, right? Occasionally I do. But it's not about me. Like I said, we realized that, you know, as an FMCG food and beverage company, it's not about what I drink and what I like. It's about giving customers the option to drink what they want. And as a company, if I can have, you know, multiple categories and I can do it well, it's better for the company, it's better for me. And today, you know, instant coffee is our largest selling segment.
Great. So now that we have context on the user, the next big problem for food brands is cracking supply chain. And this is exactly the problem that Tokai faced when they wanted to serve the best quality coffee to their customers. But before we get into that, I have something super special for you. The Mecca of Growth is back. We are hosting the 20th edition of GrowthX Demo Day, and the idea is simple. Top GrowthX teams will present in-depth growth strategies from the list of curated companies, and over the course of these pitches, you'll learn how to design your revenue model, understand nuances of customer acquisition, onboarding and retention, and did I mention the beast? Converting free users to paid users plus increasing average revenue per user. The GrowthX Demo Day is joined by founders, product, and marketing leaders of the startup ecosystem. It's on 20th July and you can join the event for free. But we have limited invites and it's first come, first serve, so grab your passes quick. Awesome, now let's get back to the Tokai supply chain insight. See, the reason why people love Tokai so much is because Matt himself is a coffee nerd. And he had very high bars to begin with. For this, he only went after 100% pure Arabica coffee beans, which are technically considered the most superior beans with the best flavor profile. In fact, they not only solved the bean problem, but also solved the fresh roast problem, as they made freshly roasted coffee delivered at customers' doorstep. This was something that had never happened before. And in coffee, roasting is very important because it's not only the beans, but also the roasting process that plays a big role in how the taste would be. In fact, if you don't consume coffee within a 4-week window, once the roasting has happened, you would have a bad experience. By the way, roasting is when you heat coffee beans in a roaster at multiple temperatures, depending on the taste that you want. And to provide the customers this 4-week window, they started roasting beans only after the customer has placed the order. And while it might look obvious now, no one was doing it at that point of time. And it is not just about roasting, by the way. It was also about figuring out the access to the right beans. So when Matt and Namrata started, they doubled down on hunting the right farmers who have the right farm for good quality bean. And I'll tell you why farms matter. You must have seen coffee beans, but what you might not have given thought to is that these beans come out of a cherry-like fruit grown at farms. And the quality of this fruit is affected by n number of factors, be it altitude, the climate, or how it's grown. By the way, this is the exact reason why an average Starbucks or other FMCG giants don't deal in specialty coffee, but deal in commodity coffee instead. Because commodity coffee can be grown at way lesser cost and at a way higher scale. But to Matt's luck, when he started, he was sitting in India, a land of high quality coffee production. In fact, we are the 8th biggest producer of coffee in the world, which is crazy. But the problem was that all farmers were exporting all the coffee to other countries. In fact, even today, we export 70% of whatever we produce to outside. This is where Blue Tokai came in between the supply chain of Indian farmers and exporters. They started reaching out to farmers in different states of Karnataka, Kerala and Tamil Nadu, the 3 states that rule the total coffee production in the country with a total share of more than 96%. Their pitch to farmers was simple. We would give you better rates than the traders who exported coffee. We would give you better recognition by adding your estate's name to every pack of beans that comes out from your farm. And not just that, we'll also guide you on how to grow high quality coffee the right way. They did not pitch a transaction, but a long-term sustainable partnership. All of this did take a little time, but eventually farmers agreed, and this led to the high quality coffee beans Blue Tokai is known to provide today. So while this gives us clarity on the product and the user level, another ballgame that every food brand needs to crack is distribution, which is cracking the offline world, the world of general trade, which is ration shops, and the world of modern trade, which is DMarts. Something that Suhasini Sampath, the founder of YogaBar, cracked beautifully to eventually sell the brand for 500 crores. And here's what she thinks.
You have to train your sales team to give that passionate spiel about why that product is differentiated. A trader obviously wants to pick large company products because the system is streamlined, the distributor supply comes properly, the brand is well known, you generate cash and all of that. For him to make a deviation in his process, he needs to be convinced your product will actually win. So you need to make sure that, at least for YogaBar, we gave like product kits to every single shopkeeper and said, please feed your family this. And he became our salesperson. Like my marketing expense was that. Because once he was convinced,
Mind-blowing.
yeah, he would tell everybody, right? He said, मेरा family तो खाता है, तो आप भी ले लीजिए, नया product है, काफी अच्छा है. इसमें ये है, ये नहीं है. So I spent a lot of time, effort, training my sales team and making sure they truly understood why we were differentiated from competition. There is no way a company of our size with our capital could have grown if not for people truly communicating why we were different.
Let's go to modern trade.
So modern trade is a fairly straightforward answer. A modern trade vendor or buyer will not keep you unless you can show you have market share data and you are a certain market share in the category. Like for example, DMart pegs how much you are selling in offline.
So Hasini, tell me this. You cannot enter modern trade without entering general trade. Is that like a...
Yeah. Like
it's
the
a
large modern
small
trade.
mafia of sorts?
No, I mean, it would be rightly so because for them, what do they do, right? Like you have to think, and whenever you enter into a negotiation, you have to understand the other person's perspective. How do they make money? It's called Jimro, right? Like you generate, what is the gross margin you generate every square feet of your store? And DMart and all are so sharp, yeah. Like they have to be so sharp in their operations that every square feet has to generate cash through throughput of the product. Their math is very, very clear. So unless you are a product that's actually performing in a general trade store, they can't waste their real estate space because they could give their real estate space to somebody else. How do they make money? I have X amount of space. I keep selling the product in this amount of space. The more it keeps moving, my cash register keeps clicking on the amount of the margin that I have agreed with the vendor, right? That is their perspective. So real estate is really expensive for them.
Coming down to the next big problem where many food brands get stuck, which is understanding how the B2B angle can actually help them scale their top lines. And let's take an example of none other than Veeba, a brand that went B2B first before going to B2C and it actually held them out. Going B2B first had two crystal clear benefits for Veeba. Number one was consistent cash flow. See, B2B is very different from B2C, right? The volume is super high and the frequency of orders is relatively predictable because you don't have to convince 100 retailers but only few big clients. It solves for a predictable cash flow and makes sure that factories are running and the company pays salaries on time. And the reason why I'm saying that is because distribution in India is anything but easy because you have to approach multiple channels at the same time. Be it modern trade, which is your modern stores like DMart and Spencer's, general trade, which are your kirana shops, and e-commerce and quick commerce stores like Amazon and Blinkits. So bigger distribution requires bigger capital, and once they had 100 crores in revenue from B2B, they entered the B2C market. By the way, this also must have created a quality obsession in the company since big QSR clients like Domino's or Starbucks have extremely high bar of quality and they would not think twice of terminating the agreements if something gets messed up. The next hidden benefit of the B2B was directly knowing what customers were liking. Because all the QSR and hotel clients were essentially serving the same customer that they wanted to target eventually. So by knowing which sauce is in more demand by a particular QSR, they could make a sound judgment about what customers are liking. So for example, if Subway is using a Southwest sauce more and ordering it at higher volumes, it can be a great signal that hey, customers are liking Southwest. This was a masterstroke because this became the genesis of the retail category innovation. In fact, they have launched many products in multiple categories that are still only for their B2B business. For example, did you know that Veeba makes ice cream toppings and donut fillings and even seasonings? Even I didn't, because these products are still only exclusively for the B2B business. By the way, B2B business is still pretty big for them, but the share has fallen down to 8% of total revenues. Now let's talk about the next insight, which is the packaging of the product. How should your product look like? And who better to answer this than YogaBar, a company that has stayed relevant for 10 plus years.
Modern, international, and I forgot the third one. We said something.
Very colorful.
Very colorful.
Yeah.
How did you arrive at the insight that these are the words I want to associate with?
Colorful because bright color represents happiness for us. You always represent joy with rainbows. You always represent joy by being vibrant or bright. So we always picked colors that when you look at it, it just gives you the sense that you feel a little bit happy. We picked modern because we were clear we were in a category where we are creating category. So you have to be relevant first to a set of audience that is already quite well traveled. You first convert that customer and then you go down the hierarchy, right? So it has to be slightly modern because people who are well-traveled be like, okay, I feel like I've seen this product somewhere. I would want to pick it. International because initially, and I mean, Anandita needs to talk about this, we always wanted this one time where our product would be on Whole Foods. So we always, like we said that, on Times Square, there'll be this big YogaBar ad.
So while all these insights solve for the product, now let's talk about something that goes on the very back end where most brands struggle. That is how to serve their food fresh to offline stores. And ID Fresh Foods came up with one of the most unique solutions in the industry with their zero inventory model to serve more than 40,000 stores. See, ID follows a very unique zero inventory and daily replenishment model, which means that they don't store any inventory after production and deliver fresh foods to all these 40,000 stores daily. Before understanding on how they do it, let's first break down the steps that are part of the batter creation process because it's important. The first step is cleaning and washing the rice and dal. Second is soaking and grinding. Third is mixing. Fourth is fermentation. And the last is packaging. Now, to do all of this at the factory on one single day and also deliver to retailers is extremely tough task. So what ID does here is extremely unique. Instead of doing everything in the factory itself, they divide their chain. So one half of the batter making process happens in factories while the other happens in the transit. This is crazy. And now let's understand this with an example of Kochi. ID delivers to mom and pop shops in Kochi, but the nearest factory is not in Kochi but 550 kilometers away in Bangalore. So to deliver to Kochi, they follow 4 steps in the Bangalore factory, that is cleaning, soaking, grinding, mixing, and packaging, and load the batch into cold storage truck. Now here's the interesting bit. They let the last step of the fermentation process happen during the truck's road trip in the cold storage where they can control temperatures at about 4 to 5 degrees Celsius. So while the packets are on their way to Kochi, the fermentation process is taking place simultaneously. Now that we have more context on the foundations, let's also talk about a problem that only few brands have been able to solve. The problem of creating content and creating communities that WholeTruth has solved beautifully to make more than 36 crores in revenue now. See, content is part of every brand strategy these days. But the way WholeTruth has executed it is pretty mind-blowing, and I'll break it down how they have done it. Their entire content strategy is based on 3 pillars. One is storytelling, second is education, and third is entertainment. Let's get into them one by one. Now, when it comes to storytelling, it starts from their brand name itself. The name WholeTruth is in itself a bold claim saying that, hey, we are not like the rest, and we want to tell 100% truth. That's why they don't call themselves a food brand, but a truth brand. And to hit the nail on the head, they optimize their packaging, their socials, and even their website to communicate these values. By the way, one thing that is really interesting here is that Shashank himself is featured in most of the ads, making the brand relatable instead of hiring a famous celebrity who would not have the brand association that he has. Even their ads like this one, where they bust myths around so-called misleading claims in the food industry, are done by Shashank himself, and they still have not hired an agency to do the content for them. They do it all in-house. While this cracks storytelling for them, on the education front, they started with newsletters and the Instagram channel where they covered a lot of interesting topics like comparison of healthy drinks versus sports drinks, or even topics like, are modern day breads even healthy? Obviously, Shashank's experience of writing well-researched blogs helped the brand here as well. But the most interesting thing they did while educating was that they never promoted their products after educating. Because the loop is simple. Educate customers, gain trust, make them aware about why your brand is better through all the channels, and get conversions. A masterstroke. By the way, be it storytelling or education, the third glue that has remained constant for them since the very day one is their witty brand voice. And this becomes very important because they're literally talking like their core ICPs, be it their packages or their ads. The ICPs, who are the young folks of top tier 1 cities who want a brand to talk to them like WholeTruth is talking to these guys. By the way, the agency that does their amazing packaging is known as Thought Over Design, in case you want to look them up. Great. Coming back to the point of brand tonality. So be it their ad series that they did with Rohan Joshi, or be it the one where they're trolling influencers literally, all of them just made them stand out by not being just another boring health brand. So these were the 7 key insights that each of these brands have used to crack India's competitive packaged food market. And by the way, feel free to check out the individual episodes that we have done on Tokai, WholeTruth and Veeba. I'll see you on the demo day.